In a negotiation needs to go through, or doesn't need to go through, but it should go through 7 steps. And the first step of any negotiation, whether it's with your kids, whether it's the next door neighbour over any fence, or whether you're speaking to people about buying and selling something, or even in a car yard or whatever it is. The first thing that should always happen in any negotiation, even when you're going to, and this is especially when you're going to speak to real estate agents or sellers, is what is the outcome that you're there to achieve? Why are we there? Well, what is the purpose? What's the big picture? What are we going to try and do here together? First step of negotiations, we've got to set up. All the players have got to know what the rules are, what we're here to achieve. Because quite often we go into a negotiation and everybody assumes what everybody else is there for, but it's not laid out. I always feel if you lay it out, here's what happens. We're here to draw a picture of whatever, or to do something, right? So right away, it gets all assumptions out of the way. Anything that the person assumes and they vocalise it, and it's not what I plan on doing, it's right up front. See what I'm saying? So there's none of this later on the people go, well, hang on, I thought this and I thought that. So I get right up front. What are we here to achieve, right? So, and you'll see how this plays out, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start going into negotiations now, and like a doctor, by the way, see, okay, is it fair enough to say that when you guys go to see a doctor, the first thing the doctor wants to know is what's the issue, what are we here to sort out, what are you here for? Would that be right? Before we get into it. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going in here, and what do you think, as far as you're concerned, you might be going there for?
To find out whether they're flexible and how we can help them sell their house.
Okay, good. So right then and there, you haven't said you're going to buy. In actual fact, you said that you're there going to see if they're flexible and see in what way you can help them sell their house.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they think you're there for?
To buy the house.
Correct. All the real estate agents trying to get listing. Right now, we have a problem in our first rule of negotiation. What the seller thinks is the agenda is different from what we think the agenda is. So therefore, the first thing to do is get everybody on the same page. Does that make sense? The first part of the agenda. What are we here for today? So, what it does, it sorts out very quickly why we are here, and it's like everybody writing down on a piece of paper, that's where A is, that's where Z is. Let's agree that today, before we finish meeting, we will achieve from A to Z. And if we're not on the same page, then let's just forget it. You with me? So I set up what the agenda is. So let me ask you something. You're here to see if I'm going to buy this house. Well, I'm here to see if we've got any flexibility around the ways you want to sell this house and to see if I can assist you in selling it. Let me ask you something. If I can assist you in selling this house, would that be a satisfactory outcome for you? Yes, it would be. So if we had to sit here till 3 o'clock in the morning, but at the end of 3 o'clock this morning, you had this house sold, how would that make you feel? Pretty good. So, is it possible, do you think, that the most important thing right now is not you, it's not me, it's not our personalities, it's about bringing our tool sets together, our resources together, to have this house sold for you by 3 o'clock this morning, 11 o'clock tonight, or whatever the time frame is? Can we agree that we're actually on the same page here? Is that what we're both trying to achieve? Because if we're not trying to achieve the same thing, I want to know up front. Okay? Here's the next thing. Can we also agree that, as we go along this journey to achieve what we're going to do, that we're probably not going to agree on some stuff? And they're just things we have to work through in order to end up with the same outcome, and possibly the way you think about some things may be different from the way I see things being. Do you reckon that's possible? Yeah. I get it all up front. What do you think subliminally I'm actually telling this gentleman on the other side of the table? There's going to be some negotiation. Do you think I'm also telling him I'm going to kick his ass, but don't blame me because you agreed up front that was okay? Right? Have I committed to anything? No, but what I've done is I've set the agenda. I want to know why I'm here. Like, what are we here to achieve? what's the expectation? You know, if the expectation is, just to look at what I got, how long do you think I'm going to stay there for? Short time. The engine's already going. But would I like to know this now, or would I like to know it in 2 hours' time? Okay. So let's find out, by the way, what percentage of 100 sellers, ladies and gentlemen, do you think of people going to do business with you? Anybody want to guess what the percentage is? No, it's about 10 to 15. Yeah, it might be 15. 10 to 15, that's it. So you want to probably go through the 85 pretty quick. And so I just like to know, what are we here? What's the big step? What's the goal plan? What are we aiming to do? Because if we don't know, then I'm just wondering whether we should be working that out first. So what's the goal? So the continuation of that might be, if it's at someone's house and they agree, okay, well, let's agree why we're here today. Because if we can't agree on why we're here today, by them agreeing as to why we're here today, they actually subliminally give you permission to ask all the questions you want to ask. You may, if you wish to, use this that works very, very well, which is, okay, so the reason we're here today is because you want to have this thing sold by 1 o'clock this morning or by 11 o'clock as fast as you can. Is that right? Yes, you do. Okay. Well, I guess like any good doctor, I'm going to have to probably ask you a whole bunch of questions to find out what the problem is in order to find a solution that fits. Based on that, would it be a problem if I ask you some questions as we go along? Now, what did that just do? Correct. It set up, and it also gave the permission for me to ask very personal questions. And by the alliance with the doctor, everybody understands the doctor analogy. They understand that the doctor can ask all sorts of probing things and stick things up your armpit and do all sorts of stuff, but it's okay because he's the doctor. So what I've done is, like a doctor, any good doctor who's got to find out what the solution here, what the pill is, that what we're going to do, I may have to ask you a whole bunch of questions in order to do this, to get to that solution by 1 o'clock, which is the thing which we're both trying to achieve. Now, we now have an agenda. Can you see now that if you ask any question from any of us on, the guy will have acceptance about the asking of it, and give it, because it's all about this agenda we've set up. Sometimes if we go in and we have no agenda, we start asking questions, people going, well, why? Who's ever had someone say to you, why does that matter? Or why is that question relevant? Yeah? Okay. So on the first of the negotiation is blah, blah, blah. What's the big picture? So what I'd like you guys to write down is big picture. What is it? Write that down as your step one. Big picture. What is it?